welcome to the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research. This is a school and not a church, and neither are we affiliated with any religious organization. This school is a non-profit, non-denominational, religious and scientific research organization dedicated to showing proof of the existence of Yahweh our Elohim and the operation of his eternal purpose, pattern, and plan.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? We'll be reading Isaiah, the 40th chapter, inserting the two names and title where appropriate. Isaiah, the 40th chapter. Comfort ye, my people, saith your El. Speaketh ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her, that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned. For she hath received of Yahweh's hand double all her sins. The voice of him that cried in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of Yahweh, make straight in the desert a highway for your El. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of Yahweh shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of Yahweh hath spoken it. The voice said, cry. And he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all the goodliness thereof is as the flower of the field. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, because the Spirit of Yahweh bloweth upon it. Surely the people is grass. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the word of our El shall stand forever. O Zion, that bringeth good tidings, get thee up into the high mountain. O Jerusalem, that bringeth good tidings, lift up thy voice with strength. Lift it up. Be not afraid. Say unto the cities of Judah, behold your El. Behold, Yahweh will come with strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are with young. Who hath measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out heaven with a span, and comprehended the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountain in scales, and the hills in a balance? Who hath directed the Spirit of Yahweh, or being his counselor hath taught him? With whom took he counsel, and who instructed him, and taught him in the path of judgment, and taught him knowledge, and showed to him the way of understanding? Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing. And Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beasts thereof sufficient for a burnt offering. All nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing in vanity. To whom then will ye liken El? Or what likeness will ye compare unto him? The workman melted the graven image, and the goldsmith spreadeth it over with gold, and casteth silver chains. He that is so impoverished that he hath no oblation chooseth a tree that will not rot. He seeketh unto him a cunning workman to prepare a graven image that shall not be moved. Have ye not known? Have ye not heard? Hath it not been told you from the beginning? Have ye not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in, that bringeth the princes to nothing. He maketh the judges of the earth as vanity. Yea, there shall not be planted. Yea, there shall not be sown. Yea, their stock shall not take root in the earth. And they shall also blow upon them, and they shall wither, and the whirlwind shall take them away as stubble. To whom then will ye liken me? Or shall I be equal? Said the Holy One. Lift up your eyes on high, and behold, who hath created these things, that bringeth out their host by number. He calleth them all by names, by the greatness of his might, for that he is strong in power, not one faileth. Why sayest thou, O Jacob, and speaketh, O Israel, my way is hid from Yahweh, and my judgment is passed over from my El? Hast thou not known, hast thou not heard, that the everlasting El, Yahweh, the Creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary? There is no searching of his understanding. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon Yahweh shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Isaiah the 40th chapter.
This is the second of our special lecture series. Tonight's class will be from 7 to 9. Tomorrow night's class, Friday night, will be from 7 to 9:30, a half-hour additional. All our classes, by the way, a half hour before the choir will be singing. Saturday, there are 2 classes. Class runs from 11 to 1:30, and from 5 to 7:30. And then Sunday, 11 to 1:30. And again, half hour before class, there will be choir. Our topic for this special lecture series is, do you know for certain what time it really is? This concerns Matthew the 24th.
I'll now introduce our Dean, Dr. Terry Walsh, with some introductory remarks.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Very glad to see everybody here. And this is the second of what I expect to continue to be dynamite lectures. I think everybody got the packet, is pretty much familiar with it for the most part. Just as a matter of reviewing very briefly, last session we had 2 speakers. Dr. Rhonda Brazil spoke about things such as do New Testament things in this present kingdom age of grace, which is the belief on Yahshua, and don't do Old Testament things like works, physical, carnal works for righteousness. Which, by the way, you know what Old Testament concepts are, right? Or physical things, they're called toys.
Mm-hmm.
They're toys, T-O-I-S. Theories, opinions, and imaginations. And people today want to do those things for righteousness. They're just playing with toys. And it's not the reality. It's time to be grown up and have the real thing. Dr. Paul Jones was talking about how to calculate time with Yahweh and how that can be different than the way man thinks. Showing a little bit about how time has to be understood if you're going to be able to go into the Bible and interpret the prophecies that are in the Bible and how Yahweh's purpose and plan operates in that way. It showed how that Yahweh has moved everything from an Old Testament darkness period, or a darkness in man's heart or mind, all the way up to Yahshua. In other words, ignorance of Yahweh. Right up into the light. So when Yahshua rose from the dead, that was the sun rising to give light to the world. And we are now in the light. And so a lot more things you could say about it, but you hadn't been here to hear the lecture. I was going to very briefly just list some of the questions that could be addressed in the process of these lectures. For example, what should we do with the time we're given in this life, right? What is eternity? What is time? How did Yahweh make it? Will time end? When? How? How is time structured? By Yahweh's pattern. How does Yahweh's plan operate in time like the priest operated in the pattern? How do cycles operate, including the numbers like 7 and multiples of 7 like 49 and 490? How about in cycles of weeks, days, years, millennia? What role do the sun, moon, and stars play in time? How are hours, days, months, years, and millennia calculated in prophecies? What are the 2,300 days of Daniel's prophecies? How did Yahshua fulfill 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth and raise on the 3rd day? How did the death, burial, and resurrection of Yahshua fulfill his purpose? What is the significance of numbers like the number 3, or 50, or 53, or 1260, or 2520? When is Yahshua's birthday? What types of prophecies does it fulfill? How do you calculate a day with Yahweh, a prophetic day, a solar day? That was briefly gone into last night. How did Yahweh define day and night? That was talked about. What is a phenomenal day and when does it occur? That was briefly mentioned too. What are ages, dispensations, and covenants? And that was somewhat addressed. So there's a lot here, and we will be moving on with it for the rest of the sessions. Any? No, there's no one here that would matter. Okay, that's all right. For visitors. The what? Well, I think everybody has one. That's why. Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening again. I would like to welcome our visitors, Judy Giese from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Welcome. And Reba Zahar from Williamsburg, West Virginia. Thank you. And our first speaker for this evening's session will be Dr. Judy Giese, Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Thank you. Good evening, class.
Good evening.
Hi, Judy. Believe it or not, I just want to point out about a sign of the time. And I want to go back to Matthew 24. And it's I think past the half of it, but in Matthew 24 it breaks down what is the last day. Yahshua is telling the disciples what it's going to be like during the last days. And what the sign of the time was. And so I want you to go pick up where in the days of Noah.
Matthew 24 and 37. You want to start at 36?
Good.
But of that day and hour knoweth no man.
See, it's telling you that no man's going to know the day and the hour when Yahshua comes.
Right.
But I'm going to give you guys a big clue. There's been a lot of deaths of people in the IDMR. We learned in Green Bay, you can be coming to class and be taken away.
Yes.
So we are in a perilous time, guys.
Yes.
Go ahead.
But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
So it's Yahshua's telling, like, in the days of Noah, so shall this Son of Man shall be. So it's telling you to watch.
Right.
And it's telling you it's high time we wake up and get ourselves together. And there's so many things to go that I can do. So I will just get into it and make it as brief as possible. But I got this magazine called Women. Remember Reggie White? And we wrote him letters. Our class wrote him letters because we tried to get him to come to class because he had Joshua on his helmet. Yep, that was really, yeah, and he died. And so I picked up this magazine, and wouldn't you know, there is something about the sign of the times. Because it used to say, do we get in there where it says there's going to be marrying? Okay, I want Susan to go ahead and go.
For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark.
Okay, I want you to reread that. Susan.
For as in the days that were before the flood,
So before the flood, before this flood,
they were eating and drinking,
they were eating and drinking,
marrying and giving in marriage,
they were marrying and giving in marriage,
until the day that Noah entered into the ark.
right until the day that Noah entered that ark. They were doing these things.
Right.
And you can imagine, if a sign of the time is it's when you marry today, you have less than 50% of a chance to make it through. And it's not great, but it's a sign of the times, and Yahweh has it so if you're awake and you know what to look for, you're going to be right on time. Now, I have this article, and it's really about marriage, but it's called How to Handle Annoying Habits of Your Spouse. And you know, we're Yahweh's spouse. We are Yahshua's spouse. And just to prove that one, I need you to get, no. First I want you to get Isaiah 54, 4 through 8. And I need the other one to do the dictionary.
Okay.
Because I have a list of things I need you to do. I want you to look up habit. And I want you to look up the word annoying.
Okay.
And annoy, I want you to realize that's an emotional word.
Okay.
And emotions means to stir up. And a husband means, when you look into the etymology of husband, you look it up, and it means loaf keeper. So he keeps the bread in the house. And wife means companion. I don't show anywhere where it tells people that you can have permission to beat on your spouse. There's nothing in the definition, just so you guys know. Okay, go ahead and let's start with what you got, Sue. Habit.
Habit. A constant, often unconscious inclination to perform some act acquired through its frequent repetition.
So we're talking about a pattern. It's a pattern of behavior.
That's right.
Is a habit. And you wonder how this has to do with the sign of the time, but it really does have something to do with it. Go ahead.
An established trend of the mind or character.
It's an established trend of the mind or your character. Now, habits could be two different ways. It could be a good habit or it could be a bad habit, okay?
Often plural. Customary manner or practice. A man of ascetic habits. An addiction.
It could be an addiction. And you know, in the days today, the latest drug craze is called ecstasy. And it's trying to get you back instantaneously into heaven, and all it does is just burn you up. Now, go ahead.
Rare physical constitution. Characteristic appearance, form, or manner of growth, especially of a plant. A distinctive dress or costume, especially of a religious order. A writing habit. To clothe, dress, to habituate, to inhabit. From Old French, from Latin, habitus, from past participle of Hebraer,
Okay,
to
no,
hold.
that's fine.
Okay.
All I want to do is I want to point out that a habit is a manner of living, and it's something that, for the most part, you do unconsciously. Now, I want you to look up the word annoy.
Annoy. To bother or irritate. Disturb slightly.
Now, you know when you're in a courtship period, you're on an emotional high because you found the one. Now, most people know there's been enough information coming out through the years that they know that love, once you get off the high, what is there? And it's really just a chemical in your body that causes it. But the thing is, after the high, that calm down, and when you get there, that's when true love kicks in. That's when true love kicks in. Because now you have to learn, or your habits have to mold into each other, and you have to live with each other day after day after day. And you know, those people that can do that, they learn each other's thing. But the thing is, we have to know that in the days, we are Yahshua's bride. And we're just like back here with Adam and Eve. Actually, it's over here the best. Adam and here, they were one in the beginning. There was Adam and Eve was here, and when Yahweh was the one that separated them and brought forth Eve out of Adam, and that's all we're doing now is we're going back to Yahshua. We're going back to the husband. We're the body. There's no other body within a body. We're the body. We're the assembly. We're the body. And that's where we're going, and that's our goal. Now, let's get, you got Isaiah 54?
Isaiah 54 and 4 through 5. Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame.
No, that's, is it 54, 4? I think that's it. That's it, where Yahweh is my husband. Oh, yeah, that. Okay.
54 and 5 of Isaiah. For thy Maker is thine husband, Yahweh of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The Elohim of the whole earth shall he be called.
Now, I'm just reiterating what Yahweh said. Yahweh saying he is your husband. Now, let me go back, and if you remember, if you go back here in Egypt, when Yahweh delivered them out there, they had to go to this mountaintop, Mount Sinai, and that was called the first marriage ceremony where Yahweh married the children of Israel. And that was considered a marriage because the children of Israel said, I do. And so I just want to establish that fact that Yahweh is the husband, and we're dealing with annoying habits, and we're the ones that are annoying and not Yahshua. Okay? Now, in this, I want to try to break up, give you it's the spirit of a thing. It's called spirit. And it's how to handle the annoying habits of your spouse, and they're saying it's both ways, both male and females. That if you want to wake up and have a marriage, that there's certain things you need to know, and it's not a competition. So Sue, I need you to start here. In this conversation, where I'm going to introduce you, it says that there's connectors and disconnectors, and it's actually these connectors and disconnectors are spiritual, because it's nothing you can do physically to connect. It's really a spiritual connection. So go ahead.
Lighting up change, connectors and disconnectors. If you think of marriage as an electrical system needing to be connected to an energy source to recharge on a daily basis, and loving behaviors are connectors.
Okay, I'm going to start. See, it says it's a daily. See, it's a daily renewal. This high priest, or these priests, they had to serve Yahweh daily.
Right.
Every day of the week. And when you're married, you don't get holidays off being married. No holidays off. It is an everyday thing. You have to go every day. And that priest, he had to do it perfectly every day, because when it came to that day of atonement for the salvation of Israel, he had to do that thing perfectly. He had to do it flawless, and it was a forgiveness of sins for the children of Israel. And so every day, the children of Israel, their thoughts were supposed to be towards Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
Yahweh told them that you are my people.
Right.
My people, and you just don't. They weren't allowed to go out into the world, and they weren't allowed to go to the Philistines. They were not allowed to go outside the camp to marry.
Right.
They weren't.
Right.
So, how they had to, could you imagine being confined to this? And I've been reading, there were strict rules
Right.
that they had to do. But marriage is rules. There's always rules within a marriage. And I want you to get Matthew 25, 1 through 13, and then Luke 12, 33 through 40. And I need you to...
If you think of marriage as an electrical system needing to be connected to an energy source to recharge on a daily basis, and loving behaviors are connectors, and unloving behaviors are disconnectors.
So you have loving behaviors are going to connect. It's like a magnet. You can either connect or you can disconnect. But a loving behavior will connect you to your spouse, and it will keep you as one. And once you disconnect, it's a division. And it will go ahead and explain it. So go ahead.
You can see that your marriage would quickly run out of energy if you are using tactics like criticism, anger, shouting, impatience, unresponsiveness, passive aggressiveness, force, manipulations, ultimatums, and selfishness to get your partner to change.
See, this is a list, but Paul gets into those lists and tells you that is not showing forth Yahweh.
Right.
Because
Right.
that's not about love.
Mm-hmm.
So, where are you at? Okay, stop at, go ahead. But at one, let me know.
Okay, at number 1.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Before any change can occur, you and your spouse need to realize whenever something bothers you, you are unplugging your power source to each other and cutting the wires of love that are needed to sustain the relationship.
So it's telling you about communication, how to communicate with you don't want to yell at your spouse. You don't want to you want to try to be as positive as possible, because your objective with your spouse is to be connected and to being one. Okay.
After you make that realization, you need to actively deal with the annoyances.
And it's like a verb. You know what? They had the clue, the password these last couple of years that they've been trying to get fat people to slim down and get a verb. And a verb is always an action word.
Yes,
A
yes.
verb is always action.
Mm-hmm.
And a noun is always a subject, but verb is always action. And so it's telling you you have to be positive towards your spouse.
And rid your marriage of these disconnections, number one.
Okay, and you have to learn how to be. Most people, I think there are very few, but you always, it's those. You have a few people on this earth that knows how to be positive, and that has to be a gift.
Yes.
I want it.
Yes.
I do. 'Cause I think I'm just one of the most negative people there are, but I want that positive source, and I guess it has to be a habit. So now we're going to go to Matthew, and this is Joshua, and I'm trying to set up. He's talking about the kingdom of heaven, what the kingdom of heaven, but he's using marriage as a source, or he's citing it as a source. So go ahead.
Matthew 25:1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins.
Now he says the kingdom of heaven is likened unto 10 virgins. Okay? This is the kingdom of heaven. Or this is the kingdom of marriage. Okay?
Which took their lamps, and went forth to meet the bridegroom.
Which they took their lamps, and we were taught from the beginning who Yahshua was. We was taught his purpose and his plan, and we was taught his thoughts, how he thinks. We have no excuse. So we are now at a time where there are 10 virgins. 5 are wise and 5 are foolish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them.
Now, there are 5 of them were foolish. They took their lamps, but they did not take any oil with them. And the oil is essential in anything, because what does the oil do? It's a lubricant, but if that priest wasn't anointed, that would have been death.
Mm-hmm.
And we were always told that this is like the gospel. The bread, all this in the holy place. We're in the holy place now.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to have that life, and we have to have that oil. And we have to know Yahweh's purpose. And you know what? It has to be a dedication now. But if we haven't dedicated ourselves before, this is a time not to be left behind. Because you don't have any coming and going now. Anything goes. Yahweh can take, and he's starting to take people away in class, and he's either delivering them or he's sending them to hell. I'm sorry, I don't know any other good wording for that. But he's dividing us. And if we don't, it's a good time to learn how to be positive and beginning to trust. This whole last year, that was my job. They say, if you get a job, when you go for a job, the people that make it, they go after their passion or what they love. And I had to sit down and think about that, and going like, oh man, I can't type or anything. I'm a pretty good customer service representative, but I always use my own words, and I'm always in trouble. And what can I do? I said, but I know Yahweh. And if I have to have a passion, I might as well be passionate about Yahshua. I might as well just go ahead and do it, because if I have to have a goal and I have to do something I love, I might as well just love Yahshua.
Yes. Yes.
That's a worthy goal. Okay? Go ahead.
But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps.
But it says the wise took oil in their lamps. Because they have, you know what? We're on this chart and I'm thinking, I no longer think of fourth, I'm thinking fifth. I am thinking fifth, I think we're there. You know, when me and my husband on 911, we were actually in the air when the first plane hit. And we were stuck in Minneapolis airport because we was trying to go see my sister in Montana. And we were on the runway to go to the second part of the journey, and we were the next plane to go down that runway. It was the next one to go down. And all of a sudden, they just turned around and went right back to the terminal. They did that. And you know, they told us when we went on that terminal, you're on your own. We're not going to you'll get your money back, reimbursed for your first, your first or second half, but you're on your own. And you know, that day on 9/11, that is the disaster for the United States. But that day it split the United States in half, because anything past east of the Mississippi River, you could not go. You could not go east, but you could go west. And my sister happened to be going west. We tried to get a bus to go to Chicago, and it was impossible. But we could go to Montana and see my sister, and that was like, it was our trip to hell. We went through hell. It was, and that was a wake-up call for the nation. It was a wake-up call for the world. And you know what? That led into Afghanistan. And Afghanistan is right over here where, because remember, if you remember your history, Russia overcame Afghanistan. But that never was the objective. It was back here in Mesopotamia, it was Iraq. And that was the original Babylon, because Saddam Hussein, he kept saying that he was going to bring Babylon back alive.
Right.
And now Saddam Hussein's, he's captured and he's now waiting execution. But if that is not a sign of the time, listen to this. On the Earth plane itself, I've been watching, it was on CBS, and it's been on PBS, but you watch. They have signs, in the Earth plane itself, they have 3 triggers. One's in Africa, one's in Europe, and one is in Wyoming. And they're called mega volcanoes. If these mega volcanoes go off, we're done. Now, out in space, they have it on the news. They have it in the year 2010, there's an asteroid coming straight to Earth. And they're thinking they're going to deflect it. I don't think so. That is a stone. And you know what Yahweh thinks about stones and bastards. And you always, like, I gotta get this. Back in Exodus, when they went through, they said that when the children of Israel went through the Red Sea, Pharaoh dropped like a stone. He dropped like a stone.
Right.
And in the law, it says if your son is disobedient, you stone him. This is not a time to be a disobedient son.
Right.
This is a time you're going to repent. This is a time you get on your knees and you repent. Okay. Now go ahead with your...
Matthew 25:5. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you.
It's now coming down to a point, sorry Daniel, but it's now coming down to a point that if you have any oil in your lamp, it's a precious thing. If you have oil in your lamp, don't share it. I mean, not that it being mean or anything, but it's telling you in the parable. It says you have enough for yourself, and people are so hard-hearted, and they cannot hear. You'd be wasting your oil. You really would, because I'm to the point where I can see in this world, it would not be surprising that if we are persecuted in the near future, and we are put to death, I would not be surprised. And I mean physically. And all the signs are there, and with President Bush, he has been a bully to the nation for almost 8 years, and he's now being, Yahweh's beginning to corner him, and it's not pretty when you're a cornered animal. But go ahead.
9. But the wise answer say, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves.
Now they're saying, now you go to them and buy, go and buy. But Yahweh always had it free. So how are you going to buy this? What they do is you have to go, I think people are now beginning to forget what the basic things were. Way back in the beginning, and they forgot what the simplicity of the gospel was, and it was, and how pleasant it was to be together in unity. We want to, there's going to have to be another unity somewhere before we go, because I don't know, by hook or crook, I'm trusting Yahshua that he's going to save me, and I don't intend to be left behind. Go ahead.
And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Master, Master, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not.
He says, now, Master, Master, you open to us because we did wonderful things too. But Yahshua's answer was, I don't know who you are. I don't know.
Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh.
Now it says, you don't know the day or the hour, but you know we know the signs. We know the signs. I was listening at the beginning of the Israel went to war this year too. And they went to war with Syria. And we was watching and we was just flabbergasted, because here is this high Israeli official saying, what do you expect at the end of time? Now how would he know that it's the end of time? Because he doesn't even, here he is in Israel, and he was the one that was giving Yahweh's name, and he doesn't acknowledge it, and how would he know? How would he know? Go ahead.
For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country.
Nope, I don't need that one. But I need you to go and get Hebrews 13:4. And then after that, I need you to get Revelations 19:7 through 9. And then we're going to go with the 9 points.
Hebrews 13:4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers Elohim will judge.
Now, Yahweh's, well, this is Hebrews. I think that was Paul who wrote those. Paul saying, now marriage as a whole, it's an honorable institution, and it is. Because look at the point. The point is that this time, it was said, this time, when you go to heaven, it's going to be for real. And you can you imagine being there for a couple of millennium and then decide, oh, it's been a mistake, I'm sorry, I really don't want to be, I want to do something else. I want to I want to have another husband and I want a divorce. There's not going to be another divorce. So as a woman, and I had to learn this section, it comes to the point is you have to get down, and they're telling women now, when you think about getting a divorce, you have to think it over very carefully. If you don't get, if your spouse is not abusing you physically, that it's going to be to your death or your children's death, stay with them. Better learn how to deal with habits. You learn how to change. And at least must be some kind of hope because they gave you a list of 9 things to do for change. So marriage is an honorable thing because it has to do with companionship. And everybody needs a companion because you cannot do it alone.
Right.
It's hard. It's
Right.
just hard because Yahweh designed us that we need a companion.
Right.
And we need someone to love
That's right.
us and that we can love in return.
Right.
And that's the connector.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And now it gets to be your turn. I want you to actually do Revelations.
Okay. Revelations 19 and 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his
Okay, sorry, it's the marriage, this is the marriage of the Lamb, and the Lamb we know is Joshua. It's here, it's come.
Mm-hmm.
We might as well consider ourselves as wife, and we're now considering ourselves. We're now in the Sabbath. We're just there. Mentally, I'm just there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad because I hate working. Go ahead.
and his wife hath made herself ready.
And the wife has made herself ready. If it comes to preparation, you have to prepare yourself. There's a preparation. And it's telling you that the wife made herself ready. Now, it tells you that in this article that it's your point of view. It's your point of view. Is you have to change your you have to change up a paradigm. You have to change your view on how to get along with his spouse, and they have beautiful points. So before we go there, I want you, Daniel, to get Job 5:17, and then Hebrews 12, and then 5 and 6. And I want you to go to number 1.
Right now.
Mhm.
Number 1, make a list of the annoying habits of your spouse.
Now there's 9 points. And the first one is to make a list of your spouse's annoying habits, which if we remember is very irritating. Now, the first thing is Yahweh wrote the book. He wrote the Bible. He wrote the Torah. And in it, he has a list. He has a list of do's and don'ts. He gave the 10 commandments off here. See the 10? That's a list of what he wants. And then he gave 600 and some ordinances to go with these 10. So he must have known that Israel was going to be annoying. Okay? Go ahead.
Try choosing the ones that are most important to you and set aside the not so important ones for a later date.
You have to divide. You have to. What is the top 10 annoying things that you're going to kill your spouse for? Those are the ones that you work on it, and look at it and flip it into the spiritual realm. Is that we're the ones that are annoying Yahshua, and we're the ones that have to change. And he's got the list against us. I don't know. You can't fool with perfection, and I don't have anything against Joshua. He's a husband. He's perfection, and how can you? There's no list we can give to him, but he can give us a list. Okay? Right.
Number 2, tell your spouse calmly and kindly that you want to feel connected and be happily married to him.
Now it tells you to be in Yahshua here. During the law and the prophets, he came to the children of Israel. He told them calmly and kindly what he wanted and what he expected. He wanted to be connected with the children of Israel. Okay, the next one.
Number 3, avoid criticism and judgment.
Avoid criticism and judgment. And that's a big one because I think all women, it's been just in their nature to criticize and judge. And I'm guilty of it, guys. And there has to be a way to work around that, but I don't know yet. I just know that somehow that has to be flipped, that you don't have to do that. Okay, next one.
Number 4, make a list of all the great qualities your spouse and the things you are grateful for.
It's telling you to be grateful or thanksgiving, right? Grateful for it. And to make a list. And Yahweh made a list of how wonderful he was, and I might have got it. He does. And so make a list. And remember that part of this, you know, they say with these sacrifices, oh, it's always for sin, and that's not so.
That's right.
That's not so. There was times that they could give a free will offering in gratitude and in thanksgiving. And just for references, in Exodus, when he did this song, Exodus 15:1, there was a song, it's called the Song of Moses and the Children of Israel. They were singing to Yahweh. They were singing his praises because he had delivered them out of the hand of Pharaoh.
Right.
And then I want you to get Psalms 50 and 14, Daniel.
Psalms 50 and 14. Offer unto Yahweh thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High. And call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou...
Sorry. He's telling us that for Thanksgiving, he's going to deliver us. He's going to deliver us. And he's going to save us. And, go ahead, finish it up.
I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked Yahweh saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth?
Okay. It's all going to be that we might as well start, if we're over in this state here on the Sabbath, every day we should be glorifying Yahshua and thanking Yahshua for his mercy and grace towards us, and that he is our husband. The next one.
Number 5, work together as a team to make a plan for eliminating the habits. You are in this together.
It's telling you have to work together. And the children of Israel, they had to work together in order to get out of the wilderness. And with Noah back here, they had many people, but once they got that done, after those 40 days, they had to work together. All the time, it's showing you with the children of Israel, when they had to make that tabernacle, they had to work together. And for marriage to work today, you have to work together. And in class, we have to work together.
Right.
In order for us to achieve our goal, it's not going to be just one of us at a time. We're all going to go together. And like I said before, we are the body of Yahshua. And let's see, the next one.
Number 6, come up with a buzzword to help you remind each other when the other is sliding back into the annoying behavior. I use NATO, which stands for not a turn on. Make the word humorous to help keep the change more lighthearted.
It's telling you there is a buzzword in class, and if you listen to the moderator. The last time they says, we do have a watchword, and it was called peace. And our slogan is speak the truth. So if that's not a clue that we are one as a class, as Yahshua's bride, it's time to wake up and get a clue. Okay, what's the next one?
7, be patient. Change takes time. I read somewhere that changing a habit takes 42 days of practice.
It says it takes time, and it takes 42 days of practice. But if in the Chinese, when you learn Tai Chi Qigong, they say you have to practice 100 days. And then after that, they say there's no excuse to continue on. And go ahead.
8, keep communicating and make revisions to your plans as new issues arise.
It says keep communicating. So the key word, even from this, no matter what state, what age you're in, you still have to communicate. In ages to come, Yahshua's not going to cut us off. We're still going to have to communicate, and we better know the language, and we better know how to connect with Him. And I guess I'm going to just, what's the next one?
9, think, act, and behave like you love each other.
This one's the most important one of all. Is it says that you have to think, act, and behave like you love one another. And Dr. Kinley's last lecture was about just that. They said, I'm going, but you're not far behind me. And although we feel like it's a long time, he's been dead almost 30 years. We're still, it's like a piece of grass. It's like a summer. It's a blade of grass only lives a summer, and then it dies, and it goes back into the roots. This is the most important point. If you don't get this point, there's never going to be a marriage. And I want you to reread that.
Think, act, and behave like you love each other.
It says think, act, and behave. So we're going to have to behave. We're going to have to think and act and behave that we love Yahshua the Messiah. And that has to be a habit. It's taking an old habit, a bad habit, an annoying habit, and changing it for a better habit, a good habit. That you can connect with your spouse and know and love him, and it will be daily. And it will be able to last the eternity. And with that, anything else? Oh, yeah, get the one last.
Job 5:17. Behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh correcteth. Therefore, despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty.
So when Yahweh chastises, it's not for, He doesn't do it for fun. He does it that we may learn, and that we learn how to behave properly, and that we give proper love to Yahshua that He deserves. And in return, He's going to love us too, and He's going to reward us. It's going to be a good thing.
Yes.
And with that, thank you.